Have you ever paused to think about what it truly means to embrace life after 70? So often, this stage is portrayed as a time to slow down, to just get by. But what if instead, it could be a time of profound renewal? A chapter where every day feels meaningful, joyful, and truly fulfilling. In this video, we'll explore 6 powerful steps to help you create a life filled with purpose, connection, and peace. These aren't just theoretical ideas. They're practical actions that can make a difference every single day. Whether you're looking to enjoy more vibrant health, let go of stress, or simply live with greater gratitude, each step is designed to bring more joy and richness to your life. Stay with us until the end. You'll find inspiration, insight, and perhaps even the small shift that could make these years some of your best yet. Let's dive into what it truly means to live fully, not merely to grow older. Before we begin, I would appreciate it if you like this video, you can help me continue to spread the old age lesson. If you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. If you like this video, please comment number 1. If you don't like it, comment number 0 to let me know, so I can make a better video for you. Now let's get started. Number 1. Prioritize your health, embracing small steps for a vibrant life after 70. Let me share a moment that changed everything for me. A turning point I will never forget. It was a beautiful afternoon, and I was out with my grandkids at the park. They were full of energy, running circles around me, laughing, and shouting for me to catch up. As they darted ahead, I found myself struggling to keep up, out of breath, and feeling completely exhausted. There I was, trying to catch my breath while watching them with a mix of longing and frustration. I realized in that instant that I didn't want to simply get by in life. I didn't want to be the one on the sidelines, watching others enjoy life while I sat back and observed. I wanted to be right there with them, fully present and capable, enjoying these precious moments to the fullest. That moment was a wake-up call, and I knew something had to change. I wanted more from life, more energy, and more vitality. I decided to start with small steps, knowing that gradual change would build up over time. My first goal was simple: a daily walk around the block. At first, it was difficult. Every step felt like a challenge, and I could feel every muscle in my legs complaining. I was out of breath quickly, and I thought to myself, am I going to be able to do this? But I kept at it, day after day, because I knew that this was a step in the right direction. With each walk, I reminded myself that this was the path to the life I wanted. One filled with energy, joy, and the ability to fully engage with my family. And gradually, over the weeks, I began to feel my strength returning. Those small walks became a treasured part of my routine, a time for me to clear my mind, connect with myself, and breathe in the fresh air. They became my daily reset, my moment of peace. As my physical energy grew, I also began paying closer attention to what I was eating. For so long, I thought, why bother with changing my diet now? After all, I was already well into my years. But I realized that it wasn't about perfection. It was about making small, consistent choices that would have a meaningful impact over time. So, I started incorporating more vegetables, fresh fruits, and whole grains into my meals. I began to take the time to prepare healthier meals rather than grabbing something quick and processed. It wasn't always easy, but each time I made a better choice, I felt a sense of accomplishment. And soon enough, I noticed a difference, not just in my body, but in my mind as well. I felt lighter, more energetic, and more alive. The foods I was choosing weren't just nourishing my body. They were giving me the energy to do the things I loved and enjoy life more fully. But taking care of my health wasn't just about improving my physical well-being. It was also about keeping my mind sharp. I knew that as I aged, it was just as important to exercise my brain as it was to my body. So, I started doing puzzles, reading more books, and even picking up new hobbies that sparked my curiosity. I wanted to remind myself that there is always more to learn, always something new to explore, no matter how old we get. These mental exercises became just as essential to my routine as my daily walks. They kept me engaged, motivated, and focused on growth, rather than on the limitations of aging. If you're watching this and wondering, is it too late for me to start making these changes? Let me tell you, it's never too late. Every small step counts. Whether it's a 5-minute walk, drinking an extra glass of water, or adding something healthy to your plate, it all matters. Health isn't about making drastic, overwhelming changes. It's about making small, consistent choices every day that lead to lasting results. So here's something to think about. What's one small thing you can do today to take better care of yourself? It doesn't have to be a huge leap. Maybe it's stepping outside for a short walk, choosing a more nourishing meal, or taking a few moments to breathe deeply and reflect. Imagine how that one small action could make a difference in your day, adding a little more energy, joy, and vitality to your life. Today, I challenge you to take that small step toward better health. Whether it's taking a walk, eating something fresh, or simply pausing to breathe and appreciate the moment, let that be your gift to yourself. Every small effort, no matter how tiny, is a step toward a fuller, more vibrant life. And remember, prioritizing your health isn't just about adding years to your life, it's about adding life to your years. That, my friends, is one of the best gifts you can give yourself. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. Number 2. Letting go of unnecessary stress and finding calm in everyday life. There was a time in my life when it felt like everything had the power to push my buttons. Little things that most people would brush off, like getting stuck in traffic, waiting in long lines at the store, or even the seemingly innocuous phone ringing while I was in the middle of something important, would send me into a spiral of frustration. I'd find myself reacting to each small inconvenience as if it were a major crisis, letting these moments accumulate and weigh me down emotionally. It felt like I was carrying this constant burden of stress, all from things that, in the grand scheme of life, didn't matter. Then, one day, I had a moment of clarity. I remember being particularly upset about a delayed package. It wasn't a huge deal, but it was enough to get me worked up. In the middle of my frustration, I suddenly stopped myself. I took a step back and asked, "Will this matter a year from now?" The answer came to me immediately. No, it wouldn't. That simple, reflective question was like a weight lifting off my shoulders. It made me realize just how much unnecessary stress I'd been holding onto over trivial things. It was a huge revelation, a kind of switch flipped in my mind, showing me how much energy I had wasted on things I couldn't control. Since that day, I've made a conscious effort to pause and assess whether the stresses I'm facing are truly worth my time and energy. Now, when I feel that familiar surge of irritation bubbling up, whether it's from a minor inconvenience or something beyond my control, I stop for a moment, take a deep breath, and ask myself, is this worth my peace? The vast majority of the time, the answer is no. And in those moments, I choose to let go of the stress rather than hold on to it. This small yet powerful shift in perspective has brought so much more calm into my life. Instead of wasting time and energy on things that don't matter, I focus on what truly does. Being present, enjoying quality time with loved ones, and savoring the simple joys that each day brings. One of the most effective ways I found to stay grounded and peaceful is by incorporating a calming morning ritual into my routine. Every day, I set aside a few quiet moments to sit down with a warm cup of tea. As I sip, I close my eyes, take a deep breath, and just let go of any tension. I don't worry about the tasks or responsibilities ahead of me. I simply focus on the present moment, on the quiet, on the peace that comes from being still. This ritual has become a source of strength and calm, and it's my gentle reminder to start the day not with stress or worry, but with serenity and gratitude. Another practice that helps me release stress is spending time in nature. Whether it's a leisurely walk in the park, sitting outside for a few minutes, or simply taking in the beauty around me, being in nature allows me to reconnect with what truly matters. The sound of birds chirping, the warmth of the sun, the coolness of the breeze, all of these sensations have a way of grounding me, helping me let go of the small annoyances, and reminding me that life is so much bigger than those fleeting moments of irritation. Nature has a way of restoring balance, and in those moments, I feel my stress melt away. If you're someone who finds yourself frequently stressed by the little things, I'd encourage you to try this. The next time you feel irritation or frustration rising within you, take a pause. Ask yourself the simple question, will this matter a year from now? Or, is this worth my peace? You may be surprised at how much those questions can shift your perspective. What once seemed important or urgent might suddenly feel insignificant, and you'll find it easier to let go of the stress that no longer serves you. For your action step today, try identifying just one small stressor, maybe something that's been nagging at you for a while, and let it go. It might be a minor inconvenience, a fleeting frustration, or even something you've been carrying with you for too long. Let it pass. And if you're feeling up for it, Consider starting a simple, calming morning ritual. Whether it's a quiet moment with a warm drink, a short walk outside, or just sitting still for a few minutes, these small acts can create a sense of peace that stays with you throughout the day. Remember, letting go of stress doesn't mean ignoring life's challenges. It simply means choosing to focus your energy on what truly matters and finding peace in the moments that count. Every time you release a bit of unnecessary tension, you create more space for joy, calm, and the life you truly want. So, take a deep breath. Number 3. Make time for yourself. Rediscover the life-changing power of self-care. For much of my life, I was the person who always prioritized others. I was the one who said yes to every request, every favor, and every invitation, no matter how big or small. I thought that's just what I was supposed to do. Always be there for everyone, no matter what. My sense of purpose was wrapped up in serving others, so I never stopped to consider my own needs. But as the years passed, something changed. I started to feel more and more drained, as though I was running on empty, constantly giving up without taking the time to refuel. Then one day, I looked at myself in the mirror, and a thought struck me like a bolt of lightning. When was the last time I did something just for me? I had to pause and think because honestly, I couldn't even remember the last time I had taken a moment for myself. That realization was a wake-up call. It was time to make a change, and I knew I needed to prioritize myself, even if just for a few minutes each day. I began by starting small. Every morning, I would carve out a few precious moments just for me. I committed to having no distractions, no looming to-do lists, and no one else's demands to tend to. Just me, sitting with a warm cup of tea, allowing myself the quiet space I so desperately needed. Some mornings, I would sit in silence, savoring the stillness and peace that had been absent from my life for so long. On other days, I'd pick up a book and read a chapter or two, escaping into a world of stories that nurtured my soul. Or I'd take a slow, deliberate walk around the block, feeling the fresh air fill my lungs and reminding myself that it was okay to slow down. These small moments of self-care soon became my sanctuary. They were my time to recharge and reconnect with myself, something I hadn't realized I desperately needed until I began making space for it. At first, it was just a few minutes here and there, but the difference was profound. Slowly but surely, I began to feel more centered, more at ease, and more present in every aspect of my life. I had more energy to give to the people I loved and more patience to listen and be there for them in ways that felt authentic and genuine. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. Taking this time for myself didn't make me selfish. It made me more loving, more compassionate, and more present for the people I cared about. When we care for ourselves, we replenish our ability to care for others. We fill our cups, so we can pour love and energy into the lives of those around us. And the beauty of self-care is that it doesn't require grand gestures or elaborate rituals. When was the last time you did something just for you? Not for your family, not for your friends, but for yourself. It doesn't have to be a grand affair. Sometimes the smallest moments can have the most profound impact. It could be as simple as savoring your morning coffee in peace, reading a chapter of a book that inspires you, or taking a gentle walk outside, letting nature's beauty restore your spirit. By setting aside even 5 or 10 minutes a day for yourself, you can create a ripple effect of positivity that impacts every area of your life. Find something that brings you peace, something that makes you feel happy, and allow yourself the space to fully enjoy it. Whether it's a quiet moment of reflection, an activity that sparks joy, or simply breathing deeply in the stillness of the morning, these acts of self-care are your gift to yourself. Make it a habit. Let this small yet powerful act of self-care serve as a daily reminder that you, too, deserve love, attention, and care. Taking time for yourself isn't about being selfish. It's about recharging, so you can show up fully for the people and moments that matter most. So, give yourself permission. Today, carve out just a few moments for yourself. You deserve it. Number 4. Build and maintain positive relationships, finding joy and connection. I remember the days immediately following my retirement. After years of a structured routine, I suddenly found myself with so much free time, and without the daily interactions that work had provided, I started feeling isolated. The office had always been a place of bustling conversation and camaraderie, and now it felt like a large space. I realized that the relationships I had cultivated through work, big and small, were a huge part of what made my days feel full, purposeful, and meaningful. Without those connections, I felt a bit adrift. I had always been a social person, someone who enjoyed having people around, whether it was colleagues, acquaintances, or close friends. I cherished the small moments, like coffee breaks, impromptu chats in the hallway, or shared laughter during lunch. Those everyday interactions gave my life texture and purpose. So, when I retired, I was surprised to find how much I missed the warmth of human connection, the subtle joy that came from being around others and knowing I was part of something bigger. One day, as I was sharing this feeling of isolation with a close friend, they suggested I join a local gardening club. Gardening had always been one of my passions. It was a hobby I loved deeply, but the thought of stepping into a new social setting at this stage of life felt daunting. The idea of meeting new people, especially after having spent so many years in a professional environment, was intimidating. However, something inside me urged me to give it a try, to not let fear hold me back from new experiences, especially when I knew how much I enjoyed being around others and cultivating connections. So, I took a deep breath, mustered up the courage, and went to one of their meetings. Little did I know, that single decision would open the door to some of the most rewarding and meaningful friendships of my life. Through the gardening club, I met a group of individuals who shared my interests, people who appreciated the same things I did, and who understood the joy that came from growing plants and cultivating a beautiful space. It didn't take long before we were exchanging gardening tips, sharing our favorite plants, and discussing new ideas. But more than just our shared hobby, we began to share our personal stories, our laughter, and our support. These individuals, who initially started as acquaintances with a mutual love for gardening, became much more to me. They became a community, a group of friends I could lean on. Over time, these relationships grew deeper. We celebrated birthdays, lent each other a hand during difficult times, and created memories together that I hold dear. The gardening club, once just a place for horticultural discussions, became the heart of my social life. I felt a sense of belonging I hadn't realized I was missing, and each day felt brighter because of the connections I had cultivated. These friendships reminded me that relationships, especially as we age, are like plants in a garden. They need nurturing, care, and patience to grow. Just like a garden doesn't flourish without attention, our relationships don't thrive unless we put in the effort to tend to them. Sometimes, that means stepping out of our comfort zones and reaching beyond the familiar to build something new. It requires vulnerability, but the rewards are more than worth it. The experience taught me the immense value of maintaining and building positive relationships. Even in later years, it's possible to find new connections that bring joy, fulfillment, and a renewed sense of purpose. Having friends and a supportive community offers us a sense of belonging that's invaluable. These relationships bring comfort during tough times, and they amplify the joy during the good times. So I challenge you to think about it. Who in your life brings you joy? Is there someone you've lost touch with? Perhaps an old friend, a colleague, or a neighbor you haven't heard from in a while. Or maybe there's a local group or activity that has always piqued your interest, but you've been hesitant to join. Sometimes, all it takes is reaching out. A simple phone call, a friendly hello, or an invitation for coffee could be the spark that leads to a meaningful new connection. Who could you reach out to today? Think about the warmth and happiness that even a small gesture could bring into your life. Reconnect with someone, join a new group, or start a conversation with a neighbor you've been meaning to talk to. Life is too short to wait for relationships to happen by chance. Take that first step, and let those connections bring joy, support, and light into your world. Remember, it's never too late to make new friends or rekindle old friendships. Our lives are infinitely richer when shared with others, and the love and support we gain from these relationships will make each day brighter than the last. So, take that step, open your heart, and let the bonds of friendship blossom. The more you nurture those relationships, the more vibrant your life will become. Number 5. Live with gratitude and purpose, discovering joy in every moment. There was a time in my life when I was consumed by everything I thought I lacked. The things I didn't have, the dreams that hadn't come to fruition, and the plans that had fallen short. I spent so much time focusing on what wasn't right, what hadn't worked out, that I completely overlooked the beauty and blessings that surrounded me. I was so focused on what was missing that I couldn't see the richness of life right in front of me. Then, one day, after a long and heartfelt conversation with a dear friend, something shifted. I realized that I needed to change my perspective, to find a way to live with more gratitude. I decided to try something simple but profound. I started a gratitude journal. Each day, without fail, I wrote down 3 things I was thankful for. At first, it felt awkward and almost pointless. How could something as simple as listing a warm cup of coffee, a quiet moment of peace, or the sound of a friend's voice make any difference in my life? It seemed so small in comparison to the weight of all the things I thought were missing. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 3 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. But as I stuck with it, I began to notice a change. This small practice, this simple habit of taking time each day to recognize the blessings, started to shift the way I viewed the world. Slowly, my focus began to move away from what I lacked and instead turned toward what I had. I began to notice the little things. The beauty of a sunny morning, the joy of hearing a child's laughter, the simple pleasure of getting lost in a good book. These moments, small as they seemed, began to fill me with a sense of wonder and gratitude. It was as though the fog had lifted, and I was seeing life through a clearer lens. Gratitude, I realized, doesn't just make us feel better for a moment. It gives us a deeper, more enduring sense of purpose. When I paused to recognize the good in my life, no matter how small, I felt more connected to the world around me. I felt a sense of peace with where I was, a quiet understanding that life, in all its imperfections, was still rich with beauty. What's more, living with gratitude helped me release the grip that past regrets had on me. I stopped worrying about what could have been or what I should have done differently. Instead, I started appreciating what was, the moments I had now, the people around me, and the lessons life had taught me along the way. It's truly incredible how much lighter life feels when we stop obsessing over what we don't have and begin focusing on what we do. Now, when I reflect on my day, I feel a deep sense of gratitude not just for the big moments, but for the everyday joys that make life so meaningful. So, I want to ask you, what are 3 things you're grateful for today? Take a moment to pause and think about them. Maybe it's a simple, kind gesture from a stranger, a peaceful moment to yourself, or even just the warmth of a safe home at the end of the day. These small blessings, when acknowledged, have the power to change the way we view our day, our life, and ourselves. I invite you to try this practice for yourself. Start or end your day by listing 3 things you're thankful for. You could write them down in a journal, say them aloud, or just reflect on them quietly in your mind. Let these small acts of gratitude guide you toward a life filled with more joy, purpose, and peace. Begin today. Whether you choose to write 3 things down each day or simply take a moment to reflect, allow gratitude to become part of your daily routine. When we begin to weave gratitude into the fabric of our lives, we create a deeper sense of meaning, one that transcends the challenges we face. Living with gratitude and purpose isn't about ignoring life's hardships. It's about choosing to notice and appreciate the good in every day. When we shift our focus to what we have rather than what we lack, we uncover a deeper joy and a more profound sense of fulfillment. So, take the first step today. Let gratitude become your guiding force, and watch as it leads you to a more joyful, meaningful life. Number 6. Embrace change and avoid procrastination, embracing life to the fullest. For much of my life, I held on tightly to my routines and the comfort of the familiar. I found peace in knowing what each day would bring and preferred the security of a predictable schedule. Change, on the other hand, was something that often felt daunting and intimidating. The very thought of stepping outside of my well-established habits made me uneasy, and I would avoid it whenever possible. But then, life unexpectedly presented me with a significant change that I couldn't ignore. My grandchildren, who had always lived nearby, moved across the country. I realized that if I wanted to stay connected with them and remain a part of their lives, I would have to adapt to new ways of communication. This meant learning how to use video calls, a technology one had purposefully avoided for years because it seemed overwhelming and, frankly, I didn't want to deal with the frustration of figuring it out. At first, I resisted, feeling frustrated and out of my depth. The idea of navigating something so unfamiliar made me anxious, and I wished for the days when staying in touch meant a phone call or a handwritten letter. However, I soon realized that if I didn't embrace this new way of connecting, I might lose touch with my grandchildren altogether. Reluctantly, I took the plunge. I started experimenting with the technology, taking one small step at a time. Slowly but surely, I began to understand it, and as I did, something incredible happened. The more I practiced, the more comfortable I became, And soon enough, I was able to see my grandchildren's faces, hear their laughter, and feel as though I was right there with them, even though we were miles apart. Embracing this change opened up a whole new way of being close, and the joy I experienced from those video calls was something I hadn't anticipated. It brought a sense of connection and happiness that far outweighed the discomfort of trying something new. This experience taught me an important lesson. Change, though it can be uncomfortable and unsettling at first, has the potential to bring new joys, opportunities, and connections into our lives. Often, we put things off, telling ourselves that we'll get to them someday when the time feels right. But the truth is, life doesn't wait. If we keep waiting for the perfect moment, we risk missing out on what could be life-changing experiences. The best time to try something new or pursue what has been on your mind is now, not later. Whether it's exploring a hobby, reaching out to an old friend, or visiting a place you've always wanted to see, there's no better time than the present. The satisfaction and excitement you'll feel from taking that first step, however small, will be well worth it. If you are still watching this video and finding these lessons useful, please comment number 4 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. Thank you for your valuable time. So I challenge you to ask yourself, is there something you've been postponing, waiting for the perfect moment? Maybe it's trying a new activity, rekindling a friendship, or visiting a place you've always dreamed of. Think about the joy and fulfillment you might feel when you finally take that step. It doesn't have to be something grand or life-altering. Even a small change can lead to remarkable growth and unexpected happiness. Today, choose one thing you've been delaying and take that first step toward it. It could be something as simple as picking up the phone to call a loved one or signing up for a class you've been interested in. Embrace that change and see where it leads. Remember, embracing change isn't about abandoning what's familiar to us. It's about allowing ourselves to grow, discover, and open up to new experiences. By welcoming change, we're not giving up on what we've known, but rather we're making space for something richer, more fulfilling, and full of possibility. When we allow ourselves to step into change, we often find unexpected joy, meaningful connections, and a renewed sense of purpose that makes life even more vibrant. As we continue our journey through life after 70, it's easy to think that we've reached the stage where slowing down is the natural course of action. But in reality, life after 70 is not about reducing our pace. It's about embracing the freedom to live in a way that brings us joy, meaning, and fulfillment. Every one of the steps we've discussed, whether it's prioritizing health, letting go of stress, making time for ourselves, cultivating positive relationships, living with gratitude, or embracing change, plays a vital role in creating a life that is truly lived, not just endured. Each small action we take, each shift in our perspective, moves us closer to living a life that feels rich and satisfying. Health enables us to fully engage in life's experiences. Letting go of stress invites peace into our hearts. Gratitude helps us see beauty in each moment. Building strong, supportive relationships fills us with love and connection, while embracing change keeps us curious and open to all that life has to offer. These are not just steps to follow. They are gifts we give ourselves to ensure we live fully, not merely exist. So, as you reflect on these ideas, I invite you to ask yourself, what is one small step you could take today that would bring more joy, purpose, or connection into your life? It doesn't have to be a huge transformation. Sometimes, all it takes is one small change to make a big difference. Start with that, and let each small action lead you toward a life that feels more meaningful and authentic. Life after 70 is not a time to settle. It's an opportunity to rediscover what makes you happy, cherish every moment, and share your wisdom with others. The best days are not behind you. They are right here, waiting for you to live them fully. As we wrap up, take a moment to reflect on everything we've discussed. What stood out to you? What have you learned that you feel inspired to bring into your life? We'd love to hear from you. Share in the comments one thing you've learned today and plan to put into practice. Whether it's a new perspective on health, a commitment to letting go of stress, or even just taking time for yourself, every step matters. If you enjoyed this video, please leave your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Together, we can make this stage of life as joyful, meaningful, and fulfilling as possible. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to reading your reflections.